America's EV transition is in jeopardy. Have you caught wind of the latest developments? It seems we're shifting back towards gasoline vehicles in the U.S. The landscape looks increasingly bleak as fuel efficiency regulations have been stripped away, and we no longer have concrete standards governing greenhouse gas emissions. This effectively liberates our auto manufacturers from obligations that many had little interest in fulfilling in the first place. If you happen to be in the fossil fuel sector, this trend might feel like a boon. Sales of traditional gasoline-powered cars have been on a downward trajectory for some time now, which doesn't bode well for those involved in the industry. However, a major issue looms on the horizon. While the United States lags in electric vehicle EV adoption, the rest of the globe is making rapid strides toward electrification. Even nations often labeled as developing are making tremendous advancements. As a result, America risks becoming a technological backwater in this crucial arena for the first time in modern history. This conundrum sets the stage for our Monday edition of Critical Materials, a digest of industry and tech insights. Today, we will also touch upon how numerous European car manufacturers may struggle under the weight of new U.S. tariffs, and explore an unexpected dip in hybrid vehicle sales from China. Is falling behind 2025 Jeep Wagoneer S Limited. Photo by Jeep. At Inside EVs, we strive to avoid a condescending tone while discussing the electric vehicle revolution. Our mission is to enlighten, inform, and empower our audience, while recognizing the struggles and shortcomings that have surfaced during this transition. That said, as a publication with an audience largely based in America, it's time to confront a hard truth. We are being left behind by the rest of the world in this critical sector. The implications of this reality could affect our technological, scientific, and manufacturing relevance for years to come. According to a recent Bloomberg piece, developing nations are not lagging behind their wealthier counterparts in the race toward battery electric vehicles. In fact, China, which claims nearly half of the EV market, garners most of the headlines. But countries like Vietnam are also gaining momentum. For instance, the local EV manufacturer, VinFast Auto Limited, accounted for over a third of car sales during this year's first half. In Turkey, 13% of vehicle sales in the first quarter were fully electric, approximately double the rate seen in Spain and Australia based on a strategy survey. In Indonesia, 7.4% mirrored U.S. figures, while Malaysia reported 8.6% during the same period. Surprisingly, more than 75% of vehicle imports into Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Djibouti last year were fully electric. Meanwhile, Ethiopia and Laos reported electric vehicle shares of 40% and 30% respectively. The International Energy Agency noted that plug-in vehicle sales surged by 60% across developing countries overall in 2024. So, what explains this phenomenon? In these so-called developing regions, the more affordable ownership costs of electric cars, coupled with rising fuel prices and significant air pollution challenges, make electric alternatives much more attractive than traditional options. Many of these nations may not have established robust gasoline infrastructure and often lack automakers that rely on gas vehicles for their profits. Thus, they are in a uniquely advantageous position to leapfrog directly to electric technologies. When you factor in the increasing pace of electrification in Europe and China's clear and established dominance in the EV market, it becomes evident that the U.S. is falling short. Why does it matter? You might exclaim in frustration after reading the article, perhaps even tempted to send an outraged email my way. Let the other countries have their fancy electric cars. We love our gas guzzlers. While that perspective is understandable, it's worth noting that the automotive industry has always prioritized two things: efficiency and performance. In this regard, electric vehicles have proven to be superior to gasoline-powered counterparts. How long before U.S. Automakers, who mostly operate on a global scale, decide to stick with outdated technology while the rest of the world embraces innovation? As one columnist aptly put it, many parts of the globe are already enjoying cleaner, more cost-efficient transportation options. By the time developed countries grasp just how far behind they've fallen, it may be too late to remedy the situation. China's hybrid market faces challenges. XPeng Mona MO3. Photo by Inside EVs. It's important to recognize how Chinese exports play into the overall situation. With saturation in their domestic market, numerous Chinese automakers are increasingly looking to expand overseas, particularly in regions often referred to as the Global South. The local market in China is highly competitive and plagued by too many brands saturating the space, leading to a fierce price war as the number of potential buyers diminishes. However, as pointed out by Reuters, improvements in EV infrastructure may signal a shift away from hybrids, with demand for hybrid vehicles decreasing. Sales of plug-in hybrids and extended-range hybrids fell 3.6% compared to the previous July, largely due to advancements in battery technology, alleviating concerns over the limited range of fully electric vehicles. Although this trend has benefited newer EV makers like Leapmotor, Xiaomi, and XPeng, who self-reported record sales in July, it has negatively impacted companies such as BYD and Li Auto, which have heavily depended on hybrid sales for their profitability. As for BYD, don't fret too much just yet. Despite experiencing a decline in vehicle sales in China for the third month in a row, down 12% year-on-year, the company's global deliveries witnessed a slight uptick last month, thanks in part to surging shipments abroad. Big fun challenges for European automakers. 2025 Volkswagen ID Buzz Review. Photo DPW Burnett, Motor One. Another dilemma facing the pro-gas agenda in America is that despite any hesitations regarding EVs, consumer sentiment suggests a growing preference for hybrid vehicles. The transition will likely involve offering a diverse array of powertrains, which could pose significant challenges for smaller European brands, like Volkswagen, Volvo, Polestar, and Jaguar Land Rover. Interestingly, I'm including Volkswagen among the smaller players here. It holds about 5% of the U.S. market, despite being a behemoth in both Europe and Latin America. According to an automotive news story, Volkswagen of America previously focused heavily on electric vehicles, abandoning hybrid options. This decision has left VW racing to catch up in the U.S. market, and the debut of hybrid models is still years away. Tariffs and slow EV sales have forced Volvo Cars and Polestar to narrow their current and future U.S. vehicle lines. These brands predominantly import their vehicles and rely significantly on Chinese manufacturing. Likewise, Jaguar Land Rover has postponed the launch of its new generation of EVs, including electric versions of its Range Rover Sport, and Velar models, to extend testing and improve quality standards. Each of these brands faces unique challenges at this juncture, and it will be critical for them to navigate the upcoming years successfully as they adjust to the evolving market. The U.S. Where did we go wrong in the EV transition? U.S. President Joe Biden test driving the 2022 GMC Hummer EV pickup. If there's one thing I can say about our country, it's that we are a vast, diverse nation filled with individuals from myriad backgrounds. However, this diversity often leads to a rowdy spirit where people resist being told what to do. It seems that EVs became particularly divisive along political lines once some individuals felt they were being pressured to switch to electric vehicles or confronted with an implicit EV mandate, though this wasn't strictly accurate. The introduction of stringent fuel economy and emission standards did push the market toward electrification, a necessary step in combating climate change. This scenario barely scratches the surface of a communication disaster that many automakers uncritically seized upon. There's a lingering implication from some manufacturers that they are producing EVs merely because they are compelled to do so, rather than presenting the compelling fact that most EV owners view these vehicles as superior products. What are your thoughts on this whole situation? What key points did I overlook? I would love to hear your opinions in the comments section, or feel free to reach out via email.